Okay, so here goes. Here's the tooth test.
Welcome to another unboxing with JTV. We're really excited to have you here today. We have gotten a ton of questions from you guys about how to quickly identify gemstones when you're at a trade show, when you're shopping at a jewelry store, and we're here to help you with that. And so we have some quick tests that we're gonna show you. We have a bunch of different gemstones to choose from. I don't know what stones are in my box, but hopefully I'll be able to help you with some quick identifying tests. So let's see. A simple drawing can tell us apart. Okay, I think I know what this is. It's a very quick and easy test for colorless stones, but let's see if I'm right. Okay, so in the box we have a permanent marker, a round brilliant colorless stone, and then another round brilliant colorless stone. And I think that we're going to do the read-through test today. So the read-through test is a super quick and easy test that you can do with round brilliant colorless stones, and it works with diamond and CZ. So I'm guessing one of these stones here is a diamond, one is a CZ, and the purpose of this test is to differentiate between the two. So there are other ways that you can differentiate between the two, looking at their luster, their fire, their facet edges, polish on their facets, but the read-through test is another way that you can quickly differentiate between the two. Okay, so we're gonna quickly do a diagram to show you the concept of total internal reflection, which again is something that occurs with light inside a gemstone. So you have the surface of a gemstone right there. This is the air, this is the gem. And this, an imaginary line that's referred to as the normal, is 90 degrees to the surface of the gemstone. When light is traveling from an optically more dense medium to a less dense medium, it has some options. When it hits the interface of the two, it can refract away from the normal, or it can hit the interface and it can travel along the surface of the gem at 90 degrees to the normal. This angle right here is called the critical angle. And when light hits the interface between the two mediums at an angle greater than the critical angle, so all of these, it reflects back into the stone. And these lines create more activity inside the stone, and then eventually they go back out of the stone and they create that brilliance that we all love. So lapidaries need to know for each gemstone what angle is the critical angle so that they can make sure that the pavilion and all the facets are cut to certain proportions and degrees such that total internal reflection occurs. So what we're gonna do is we are going to draw lines on a piece of paper. So in the modern round brilliant cut, diamonds, when cut well, display total internal reflection. And when you put a diamond over a line, you should not be able to see the line through it. It should be cut in such a way that it looks kind of dark and you really just see the facets. CZ has a different critical angle, it has a different RI, and so the way that light interacts within CZ is completely different than diamond. And in a round brilliant cut, CZ is not cut in such a way that it lends itself to total internal reflection, and therefore when you put a CZ over a line, you should see a distortion of whatever is underneath on that piece of paper. So what we're gonna do is we are going to put these stones over these lines and try to differentiate and see which one is which. All right. Quick and easy. This larger stone, I can see the line through it. It's distorted, actually looks like a circle. It's distorted in two different directions. And then with the smaller stone, which is the stone that I think is the diamond, you really can't see the line through it. So super quick, super easy. Obviously it requires that the stone be unset or have a very open back in a setting. It requires again that it be a round brilliant cut to good or excellent proportions. But other than that, you just need a piece of paper and a permanent marker, and it can save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and you'll be better off for it.
Little birdie told me that we were doing gym tests today. So I'm pretty excited because we've got a ton of really awesome at-home gym tests that I've learned how to do over my time at JTV. So I guess let's see which one I got today. To float or not to float? That is the question. I think I know which one I've got. Let's see what is in the box. So I got a little salt, which is very important. And then I have 2 gemstones. I know what this test is. So we are going to be doing a density test. One of these 2 gems, and I don't know which one yet, is amber. The other one is gonna be plastic. If I had to guess, it's either gonna be glass or plastic, but with how plasticky both of them feel, and one of them, they're not cold, so usually glass is pretty cold compared to a plastic. I'd say one of these is plastic and one of these is amber. And I'm not going to guess which one yet because side ID is not the thing you wanna go with as a definitive test. Let's see if I can't get some salt water. So, Powered YouTube, I have a saltwater solution here. So what we're gonna do is we are going to drop our 2 stones in here and see which one floats. So the way that you do this experiment is you make a super saturated saltwater solution. So what that means is that you can take warm water or hot water and you basically get as much salt into that warm water as you possibly can. So with this one, you don't really see any salt on the bottom, but if you have a little bit of salt on the bottom when you try this at home, don't worry about it. The reason for this is that amber is actually less dense than salt water. And so here, one of our 2 gems is actually going to float. And that will tell us which one is actually amber. Amber has a low density compared to most plastics. So most plastics actually will be more dense than salt water. Thus, it'll sink. And 3, 2, 1. Woo! So our yellow gem is actually amber. And the one that honestly looks like a better quality piece of amber is in fact plastic. So pretty neat and a really easy at-home gym test that you guys can try yourselves.
Okay, so I'm here to do tests. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, we got a sphere, we've got a variety of gemstones. What we've got here is we've got some very brightly colored gemstones, we've got colorless gemstone, we've got a couple of cabochons. I just want to know if it is a gemstone, because typically the price is going to be right regardless of what gemstone it is, as long as it is some sort of actual gemstone, even if it's a synthetic. What I usually do in that case is a thermal test. It's a nice, easy, tool-free test that you can do, and it's a really subtle one too if you don't want to tip your hand that you're really, really interested in the piece. So for this test, one thing I could use, could I get a glass of, well, just a glass. So, JTV glass. Got the glass here, and I may need the assistance of a friend of mine as well if I could have Rubik come join me. All materials pretty much have a thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity is basically, just to make it very simple, how quickly heat is drawn away from something that it becomes in contact with. Many gems and minerals have a high level of thermal conductivity. When you place them up against your skin, they pull heat away from your skin, which makes them feel cold. Glass and plastic have low thermal conductivity, and so they typically feel warmer. So the way that you do this test is everything that you test needs to be at whatever the room temperature is. So once your subjects are all at room temperature, what you want to do is take a temperature sensitive part of your body, which is your wrist here, and you want to start with your glass. You want to put the glass up against your wrist and you'll feel that it's cool to the touch. Then you want to take a gemstone or carving or whatever it is that you want to test, and you want to put it against your wrist as well. Now between these two right here, there's no difference at all. So this is most likely glass. From the look of it, this looks like natural glass, so this is most likely obsidian that I'm looking at here. Now, I'm gonna take this again, check the temperature once more, and this I know is a stone. is noticeably more cold to the touch. It's definitely got a little bit more of a coolness to it. Now this doesn't, this looks more like what I would usually see in costume jewelry, but this one is actually quite cool to the touch. Looks like it's most likely a synthetic gemstone. Probably either synthetic corundum or a synthetic spinel, possibly a synthetic quartz. But even though it's synthetic, it still has that high thermal conductivity because it's just the same chemically and with all of its other gemological properties as a natural counterpart. So here we've got another one. Nice clear piece here. And once again, cooler, just a little bit cooler there. And then we got one last one, this red stone. Yeah, this one's not at all cooler. So this one is most likely a glass or a plastic. The last one I want to show you, so it doesn't have to be a gemstone. Like I said, you know, spheres are good. You can do this with a rock. So she is very cold to the touch. So that's a quick, easy test you can do that doesn't require any tools. Now I'm gonna throw it to Elizabeth.
Okay, so I have a second test that I'm doing and there's no card this time. So I have no idea what test I'm doing. So let's see what I've got. Oh, I know what the test is. Okay, so I've got pearls. Supposedly something in here is not a real pearl, and I'm going to have to figure out which ones are the real pearls. So we're going to do something called the tooth test. And this is where you take a pearl and you rub it on one of your teeth. You can really tell the difference between real pearls and fake pearls. And when I say fake, I mean glass or plastic. So real pearls are rough. Now they are like microscopically rough. And synthetic pearls, either glass or plastic, are going to be very smooth. So sometimes you really can't tell using your fingers, but surprisingly enough, our teeth are like super duper sensitive and you can actually feel like the little bumps and ridges on pearls using your teeth. Okay, so here goes. Here's the tooth test. Okay, so that feels pretty smooth. So I'm gonna compare that. So I'm gonna, you know, we're starting off. It felt slightly gritty, but like it still felt like way smoother than I thought it would be. So let's see, option number 2. Okay, so that was really, really smooth. So that one's pretty smooth. Oh, that's slick. Oh, weird. These are definitely real. So I thought it felt pretty smooth, but it definitely feels like slightly gritty. So I would say these are actually real, and then these 2 are synthetic. Usually with pearls, you do the tooth test and then you also look down the bead hole. And you can actually look down the bead hole on some of them and see where it is the nacre covering up a bead. And that most pearls nowadays, like 99.9% of them, are cultured. And that means that inside of them, they actually have a bead that the pearl actually, or the oyster actually grows that pearl around it. That would be the pearl test.
We're on to our next box. Let's see what's inside. Okay, I have a good idea. I see 3 stones. I see a handy dandy loop. I don't go anywhere without a loop. Flashlight, a pen light, 3 stones. And I spy with my little eye what I think are composite stones. So composite stones are stones that are made up of 2 or more different parts. They can be artificial or natural materials, but they are welded together or fused together or compressed together to create the illusion of one single item. A lot of people do this because it's more cost effective. Black opal, for example, is very expensive, or it can be very expensive, and so opal doublets and triplets are great ways to get a piece of natural opal. All you really need to do is use your powers of observation. So let's start here with this large cushion cut green stone. The first thing that I'm gonna notice is it has a fairly shallow crown, which is the top part of the stone, and a very deep base. Proportion is just kind of interesting to me. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my pen light and I'm going to put the stone on its crown and I'm going to shine my pen light directly over it. And what happens when I do that is I see a red rim around the perimeter of the stone. And that's an immediate clue that we have a composite going on. What this tells me is this is a garnet topped doublet. So a doublet, double two, that's two pieces. And what happens with a garnet topped doublet is you have a garnet slice or section on the crown of the stone. And then for the pavilion, you have glass usually. So some key quick identifiers that you can find with your handy dandy 10X loop. You're gonna wanna look for a junction layer between the two layers. You'll also often see a luster difference between the two. You can also sometimes see gas bubbles in the interior of the stone. Gas bubbles don't occur in most natural gemstones, but I'm gonna confirm here with a look under my loop. Okay, so what I see is there are some natural inclusions at the top. I see a crystal. And then if I journey a little bit away from the table of the stone, I can see a junction layer around the entire perimeter of the table. There is in fact a luster difference between the two layers. I can see within the stone there's a plane where there's a separation between the natural inclusions, and then I can see gas bubbles right there. So I'm pretty confident. Okay, we have opal. Opals are one of my favorite materials. I love them. And opal doublets and triplets are really common, again, because they're cost effective, but you still get the beauty of the stone. Okay, so let's start with the doublet. Again, you just need your eyes, you need your loop. If you look at it, the main thing is there will be a very straight junction layer between the two. So you can almost see that the opal piece was just slapped on top of the black base. It's a very straight line. You can also see some gas bubbles, or sometimes you can even see the glue that comes out. So the other key identifier for this piece in particular is you can see the fracture at the top, and so the opal has kind of chipped away a little bit and the black backing is still there, and you can basically see the separation between the two layers due to the fact that they are different materials. Lastly, let's look at the triplet. Again, triple, 3 parts. These are really easy to identify, but sometimes they're a little bit confusing looking. So let me just tell you a little bit about them so you know what you're looking at. And so you'll often see this really evenly colored, opaque, flat base on the bottom. One identifier there is, again, opal comes from the ground. It's gonna be a little bit messy. It's gonna have some rough edges. It's gonna be in matrix, or it's gonna have just extra character. The best thing to do when trying to determine natural versus synthetic or composite is get to know the natural. And when you see the synthetic or the composite, you'll know it's not the natural, because you'll know so well what a natural stone looks like. The back is very evenly colored, it's flat, and then you can see a very protruding colorless cap. And if you look at it from the side, there's basically no play of color in that colorless cap. And so what that tells me, there's a layer between the two with the play of color, so that flat seam of opal is fixed between the two. I also see a lot of gas bubbles between that layer, and the colorless cap. So what I see are 3 distinct separate parts. It tells me that that is an opal triplet. Okay, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoy some of our gem tests today. I hope that it helps you when you're out in the field, when you're out looking at gemstones. We have so many comments and questions from you guys about how to identify gemstones, how to make sure you know what you're looking at. So let us know in the comments. If you have any other questions, tell us what other tests that you would like to see, what other identifying tests that you would like to learn about. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. Thanks for watching.